Alright, guys, welcome to Everything Fishing. I'm Drew,
I'm Donnie.
and today we're going to be teaching you how to tie a double bead setup. He's going to teach you how to tie the hard bead setup, and I'll do the soft bead. And let's get right into it.
Yeah, so first things first, I gotta pick out a bead, two beads, and I'm gonna go with a 12 mil on top and a 10 on bottom. I'm running an orange and a yellow, and normally you want to put your bigger bead on top. So first things first, you want to get your leader line. This is 10-pound fluoro. You can normally range. This is honestly running a bit heavy.
Yeah, I like to run about 6 to 8 typically, but we're out of leader line right now, so we're just going to tie up one with this.
All right. So I got my two hooks, and basically, you just want to tie your hook right on. Let's see here. All right, tie this one right up. There you go, snug on there. You want to trim off your tag, per usual. And I normally like to run a little longer of a leader line, so probably around 18 inches,
Yeah,
give or
18 to
take.
24.
Give or take, yeah. And just cut it right there. So you have your line, and then you want to do the same thing. I I kind of like doing it in this order. So tie up your other hook. There we go. Cut off tag. And this line is generally going to be shorter. I normally like to run my beads a foot apart, so that's what I'll be leaving myself some room with.
And then this is so you can show two different presentations at once. And what we'd like to do with these beads is we'll run like a little bigger one on top, smaller one with two separate colors, and then I'll throw another two separate colors. And then when we get bites or get fish and we see
Yep.
what beads we're getting hit on, then we adjust to that. So like if the smaller beads are hitting better, we'll switch to all small bead setup. Or if the bigger beads, vice versa. And I mean, it's really you just want to dial it in perfectly for steelhead since they're such finicky fish.
Got my leader line right here. And just take the bead, run it onto the line. And honestly, I like to do what is called pegs first, which is just basically a little plastic tubing that you put inside your bead, and it stops it from moving up and down the line. So I like normally doing my first one first. So you have it on, and you just put this little plastic tubing right through the middle of the bead, and you want to pull it pretty much as snug as you can. I see your knife.
Yeah.
There we go. Whoa. And you want to cut off as much as you can. Be careful not to nip the line. There we go. There's one.
And then sometimes what you can do is you see how there's still
Two.
a big section right here. You can even use this for the next bead.
So there we have it. First one is snug on there. And we're going to start tying up our second. So we got our shorter leader line, smaller bead, same process. So you got that on there. And now you want to connect this leader line to the other hook. Pretty quick and easy. There we go. Whoa. There we go. that down, cut the tag, and then you want to take your access peg you have and put it through and secure the small one onto the line. Get it on there snug, and then just trim the excess. That's really it. I'll show you the rig.
Pretty simple.
Just a little time consuming, but you could get it done really fast.
And we like to, when we do them, we grab these noodles, and then you can wrap leaders. Like I have 2 leaders on this right now. So then when you're out fishing, and if you break off, it's a lot easier to just take it off the pool noodle and tie up than having to do this whole retie setup.
There we have it.
And then with the beads too, is you want to have it about, I like to have about 2
2 inches, yeah.
And we found that that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I'll wrap mine up real quick.
And then while he's wrapping that one up, I'm going to start with the soft bead. A little bit different of a start is we're going to come here, pick out 2 soft beads. Let's go kind of a bigger orange one and a little bit smaller pink one. I really like throwing pink and orange. And then we have these, which it's another kind of peg, but this will slip on your line first. Oh, and then don't forget to grab the hooks.
So normally soft beads are, people say typically better because steelhead are really finicky fish and soft beads tend to be more realistic. So
Yeah, and then so with this is you want to grab one of these. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a little metal loop right there. You stick your line through it, and then you just pull this out, and then look, it's perfectly on there. And then I slide this down, and then same thing, about 18 to 24 inches. Cut it. And then you want to grab your first hook, and then you want to tie it on this side of the line. So you see how this is pointing upwards? That means you want the hook below it. And then just tie that up real quick.
there's other ways, but honestly, I find this one of the easier ones.
And it's just a little bit, I like it instead of using like spawn sacks, like real sacks, because a lot of the times they're falling off, they're popping, they get all over everything. And honestly, I haven't caught any more fish with spawn bags than I have with beads. But I like to cut my tagline of this. Slide this down a little bit. And then same thing like with the regular beads as for the soft beads, I like to put the bigger one on top. So I slide this through, and you pull it down, and then you see how it's like this? It's kind of difficult, but you just hold the line, and then the thing, you slide the bead down as much as you can, and you pull it back up, and it's pretty seamless. Even though you can see the peg a little bit, it is clear. So that's nice. And then you want to grab another piece of leader, throw another peg on this,
I just love running double bead setups because they're so diverse and you can change up so quick. Whatever the fish are biting on, once you figure it out, you just know and can switch up that fast. If you break off, just retie right up with some pre-leaders and it works great.
And same with Donnie. I like to run about another 8 to 10 inch
Hmm.
line between the two hooks to separate the beads. And then once that's on there, throw on your hook. Tie it up real quick.
Hi, buddy. Come here.
This is my dog Johan.
Johan loves fishing too. One of these days, we're going to try getting Johan and Griffin, my dog, out on one of these trips. And hopefully they'll like tagging along.
Okay, and then it's the same thing as the last one. Slide your bead down. And a little tip to get it to slide on is if you push it all the way to the hook and then slide the bead down, it holds on to it a little bit better. Slide about 2 inches up. So that's a soft bead. And then I'm going to tie this line right here to the bottom of this hook.
Exactly that. Well said.
And it's also a lot nicer to tie it beforehand than down at the river,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's cold out. It just makes it so much harder to tie.
If you break off, you only got to tie one knot instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. So plus the hassle of putting the beads on down by the river.
Okay, and then, so this is a soft bead setup. 2 soft beads. And that's the hard beads. And today we'll also be showing you how to hook it up with a float and a weight. And while Donnie's explaining that, I'm going to grab my stuff and we'll get ready to show you guys how to do it.
Yeah, so typically we like running 15-gram floats, and you normally want to match or just have a little under your float weight. So right now, 15-gram float, and we're running 14-gram weights. So let's get your main line ready. And normally when you buy these floats, they come with little tubing. So this will connect your float to your main line. What you getting?
I was just grabbing the tubes that Donnie was talking about. And for the first step, you grab the main line and then you slide in. You see these tubes in the main line? You want to put the main line right in them. Slide that through like that. And then do that for both of them.
Got both of them on there. And now you could really put your float on. I kind of like doing this now.
Yeah, I like putting my float on too.
So you take your float and you stick these two ends through those tubings.
Just like this.
Try getting it snug on there as good as possible. So did the top, now put the bottom tube in, or onto the bobber, I should say.
Pull that line tight like that. And then now your float is stationary, but when you're out fishing, you can adjust the depth pretty simply. And then when you're done with that, you want to grab your weight, the double swivel, and I'll have a little bit of line on this. Let's clean it up.
Yeah, so you connect your double swivel weight to your main line. There we go, snug on there. Cut the tag. Whoa. Boom. Now we got the weight and the bobber for float tied up.
Yeah, almost done. We just have one more knot left. And when you get to this point, you want to grab your leader line right at the end, and then all you have to do is tie it to the bottom swivel of the weight. Cut the tag end.
Boom. There we have it.
And that's how you tie a nice float setup. And we'll see you guys next
Whoa.
time.